let's work on a nice little Python practice exercise, okay? So this Python practice exercise, we're going to write a script that will connect to a database and verify the database exists, the table exists, okay? So this is not just a practice, it actually has purpose. I run an experiment, or actually say I'm running an experiment to see how fast my database can get hacked. I created a database, make it available public, and I used the password, which is a really dumb password, and I wanted to see how long it takes the hackers to actually get to my database. So I just created this. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it at the bottom. You can watch that video. So the point of this script is once I created the database, I have to go there and check every time to see, is it hacked? Is it hacked? Is it hacked, right? How often do I check it? As human, I can go every day. The most I can do, probably every 7 hours when I'm not sleeping, I can do that. But as a programmer, I know I can just automate that, and I can write a script that will check it for me. And if I wanted to, I can have it text me, I can have it email me, I can do anything. But I'm just going to keep it simple, just going to keep track of it, and once a day I'll just go look at the results. So this Python script, you can use it as practice, right? I definitely want you to work on it as just a practice Python script, but I do want you to get idea of like why I'm doing that, right? It's not just practice, it's actually useful script. It's a nice little experiment. You learn a good lesson, that is not to use a dumb password. So check out the video on the experiment. But in this one, we're just going to focus on the Python script. But in addition to that, in this video, we are going to schedule the Python script. We are going to schedule the Python script. Okay, we're going to use cron tab, and we're going to schedule it to run on a Linux machine. I'm just going to show you at the end. If you don't care about that part, you can just do the Python part. But it is nice to see how I schedule it. Right, these days I don't really use cron tab, I use Jenkins or GitLab, but since I already got a server to run the database, I thought it would be easy to just schedule it there. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder. Let me make it bigger. Make their experiment. I'm just going to say MySQL hack. cd experiment MySQL hack. Okay, I'm going to create a file. I'm going to touch. I'm just going to say check db hack.py. In this case, I'm just going to keep it easy and open it in Sublime. Usually I would do either PyCharm or VS Code. I'm going to execute the script on the command line because I got a copy to the server anyways, so I'm just going to run it here. So this is our script. We're going to use py MySQL. So this practice is for you to practice basic Python and also working with databases. So it's a nice little practice. And when I work with MySQL database, I like to use the library py MySQL. So for this one, I am going to use py MySQL. So the first thing I'm going to do is import py MySQL. Okay, and then I'm going to put in the database credentials. So I'm going to get it from my notes. So I have a little DigitalOcean server for the experiment. That's what I did. I got a server and I installed MySQL on it. So I have a database running. And let's me put some variables. So this is the IP address. As you can see, this is the IP address of this server, and the port is 3306. The user is root. The password is password. The DB. So what I did is I actually created a database called my store. Let's see, refresh. Maybe it's already hacked, but it's not. So I created a database called my store, and I have a table called users list, and it's pretty much empty. The hackers are not going to care if there's data in there or not. Okay, so don't try to connect to it. I mean, you can try, but by the time you watch this video, I'm going to get rid of this entire server. So these are our variables. This is what we're going to try to check. So I'm going to write a function. I'm going to say def check db and table. So what I want is I want to check if the database exists. If the database exists, I want to check if the table exists. If the database doesn't exist, I'm just going to print a message saying the database does not exist. So I'm going to print a message specific saying if it exists, I'm going to say true. If it doesn't exist, I'm going to say false, and I'm going to put a timestamp on it. So the purpose is later on I'm going to see the report, and I'm going to see when is it start printing false the first time, so I know that's the time it got hacked. And I'm going to run the script every 30 minutes or every hour. I haven't decided yet. But for you, all you care about is actually writing the code, okay? So that's the problem statement. I'll put it in the description, the problem statement. So if you want to use it as a practice and don't watch it, you can probably pause this video, look at the problem statement, and work on it, work on the script. That's why it's practice. Then come back and see how I implement it and see how close you become. There's no way I don't mean my implementation is perfect, but if your code works and mine works, you can compare and you can see if you can optimize either mine or yours. So you can work on it, then you can look at the results, compare it to the code that actually works. Okay, that's what you should do. That's my suggestion, but you can just watch the video as well. But if you're just watching the video, it's not really practice, is it? All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to check if DB exists, and if it does, then check if table exists. So we need two queries. We need a query, we need an SQL to check DB exists, okay, and we need another SQL to see if table exists. And I have that on my notes. So for the DB, we're going to run this query here. We're going to run show databases like the database name. The database name, I have it here as a global variable. For the table, it's going to be very much the same. Show table, show, let me paste it. Oh, what just happened here? I'm going to copy this, paste it. Show tables like the table name. Those are the two queries we are going to run, and we're going to use py_mysql. So the first thing we need to do is create a connection. So I'm going to create a variable connection, py_mysql connect. Okay, you can look at the documentation how to use py_mysql. The host is going to be my DB address. Okay, I'm going to go to the next line to make it easy for the video. The user is going to be my user. The password is going to be my password. The port is going to be the port. Okay, that is really what the experiment is about. The experiment is like I'm leaving the port as default 3306, and I use a really stupid password, which is password. So the hackers have scripts always running looking for stupid people like me, and then they're going to hack. What happens is they hack, they basically delete all the data, and they write their own message in there. They create a table with a message in there saying, hey, we got your data, and if you want your data back, send us this Bitcoin, X amount of Bitcoin. That's really what they do. But watch that video. You'll find it very interesting. Okay, so we're going to create a connection. Then we're going to create a cursor. I'm going to say cursor is going to be connection. Nope, connect that. The auto suggest doesn't work because I'm in Sublime. Okay, all right, now the first thing we need to do is check if the DB exists. So we got to execute this DB exist query. So I'm going to say cursor.execute that, and I'm going to say DB exists, and I'm going to say cursor.fetch 1. That's going to just get one record, right? So if this actually returns a result, this will be some value. It actually will show the table. If it doesn't find the database, it's going to be none, right? It can't find anything, it's going to return none. So I can check if DB exists, basically meaning if the DB is not empty. This is truthiness in Python. You don't have to say if a variable is true or if a variable is none. You don't have to say that. You can just check if the variable actually exists or not. It's called truthiness. You can look it up, truthiness. Okay, if DB exists, I want to just say print true. Okay, that DB exists. Else I want to print false. Okay, so we have this so far. So let's just test this out. When I write code, it's always a good idea. Well, that's what I do. I write a small piece as long as it's testable, and I try it out. Add more, try it out. Okay, don't wait until you write the whole thing, then try it out. Try it as you go. So we're going to make a function call. So I can simply just put this here. This would work, but I'm going to put an if block, right? They're like an entry point. So I'm going to say if name is main. Again, look this up, search my channel. I'm going to make a video about what this is. It's kind of important for you to know. Okay, so it's going to execute this. Let me save this. Now I'm going to go back here. What happens if I try to run this? I'm just going to say Python 3 check db hack, right? No, py_mysql is not available. I can just install it. I can just do pip py_mysql. If you're a total beginner, go for it. Just install it. That's not a problem. For me, I have so many projects. I do so many things. I have to use a virtual environment because I got to keep my environment separately. So I'm going to create my own little environment, install what I need there. So later on, I can just delete it. My system remains clean. Look it up. I do have a video on virtual environments. So just search my channel for virtual environments, you will see it. So the easiest way to create a virtual environment is python3.env by vnv. I'm going to call it vnv temp because I'm going to delete this virtual environment right after I'm done with this video. I'm going to source that bin activate to activate the virtual environment. Then I'm going to do pip install py mysql. So I'm just going to install it. So now my environment is activated, and then I've installed py mysql. So now I can run the script, right? I can just hit the up arrow if I want to, and there you go. It printed true. You see that? It printed true. To test it out, I always test my scripts to make them fail. Like the two conditions. What are the two things that can happen in here? I want to print something when the database exists. I also want to print when it doesn't exist, right? I mean, I did it the reverse. So I just saw that the true prints. I want to make sure the false prints. So let me change the database name. I'm just going to put an extra e at the end, so the database does not exist. I want to prove that my code works when the DB does not exist. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to run it. There you go, it printed false. Now I know my script works whether the DB exists or it doesn't exist. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. All right. So I'm going to fix this back. So what I want to do is, if the database exists, then I want to check for the table. Okay. So in the if block, if the DB exists, I'm going to check for the table, right? I'm going to say since DB exists, check the table. So I'm pretty much going to execute the same code here. So I'm going to copy paste it here. I'm going to fix the indentation, right? So instead of running the DB exist, I'm going to run the table exist, and I'm going to say save it into a variable table exists. And I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. I'm going to say if table exists, print true, else print false. Now I can be very specific, say false table does not exist. I can do table does not exist, and I can do DB does not exist. That's not what I actually have in my notes, because I mean, obviously you can get really fancy, you can be very specific. So this should work. Let's save this and let's run it. Okay, so no database selected. All right, so when you're doing show tables like this, it needs to know what database to use. Like you can't just, you have to select the database first. So there is one line of code that I missed here. Before I run the query that says check the table exists, I have to actually select a database. So I'm going to say connection dot select DB, I believe. Let me check that. Select DB. Yep. Select DB and DB name, right? This is a built-in function. This is a built-in function that comes with py mysql. It's a method for the connection. Okay, save that and run it. Voila, it printed true and true twice. Why did it print true twice? Because it printed true here, then it printed true again. So maybe I don't need to print the true here, right? Because if the DB exists, I need to go check if the table exists or not. So in my case, I can actually get rid of this. Okay, so save it. Let's do that. So print it once. Let's check that actually if the table does not exist, it actually will print. So let's put a typo. I'm just going to add a little I into the name of the table to introduce a typo. And false, table does not exist. Okay, this is what it's going to print. Now our script is pretty much done. The only thing is, you got to go back and think about, why are we writing the script? We're writing the script to figure out when did it get hacked. So just writing the message is not enough. I actually have to write the timestamp. When is it? When the script actually run and it printed this message, I should print out the time, the current time at the time of the execution. So I'm going to generate the current time. So I'm going to import. I'm just going to say from datetime import datetime. Okay. Then I'm going to create a variable here. Maybe I can do it on top. I can say right before the script start running. So I can say current time is datetime done now, right? I can just convert it into a string. I can give it a format. In my notes, I actually have a specific format. Let me just keep using that. So I'm going to put the year, month, date, hour, minute, and seconds, okay, without the microseconds. So this is the format I want. So all I want to do is, in addition to my message, I just want to add the time to it, just formatting it like that. Okay, that's all I'm adding. Again, your script probably doesn't have that. Again, there's no way your script is going to be exactly like mine, but this will give you ideas. So let's run the script. Now the message actually, it printed out the actual string current time. Why? Because we didn't add the formatting here. We need to add the little F at the beginning of the string. There you go. That is what I want. Okay. Now the script is ready. That's good. In terms of Python practice, this is it. This is your assignment. This is what the video is really about. So for you, if you're watching this video to practice Python, there it is. But now how do I use it? Okay, so what I need to do is I need to take this into my server. I gotta copy this script into my server and run it on my server and schedule it on my server. Okay, so let's copy it. So to copy from my local machine into my remote machine, I'm going to use SCP. Let me clear the screen. SCP, secure copy. You know, you use copy, right? CP on your local. When you're copying it from within your machine from one place to another, you use CP. But when you're copying it over the network, when you're copying it to a remote machine, you use SCP for secure CP. Okay, it's using SSH in the backend. So I'm going to do secure copy. What was the name of the file? SCP check this. I'm going to do root at the IP address of my machine. So the IP address of my machine is this guy here. And I'm going to go into which directory. So let's actually log into that machine. I'm going to open a new tab. I'm going to make it bigger. I'm going to SSH root at this IP address. I'm going to connect to it. I need a password because I didn't use SSH for this one. So I'm going to get my password from my notes, paste it. You don't see it because the password, when I pasted it, it won't show it to you. I'm connected. Okay. So if I do ls, I have an old script. Let me delete this, remove this guy, and I also want to remove this guy. Okay, clear. If I do ls, you see there's nothing. pwd, this is a folder /root. So that's where I want to copy it to. So when I go to where is my tab, this tab here, I want to copy my script, right? Secure copy, the script name, root at this address, colon, you put in the location, /root. Hit enter. It's going to ask for my password. I'm going to copy my password from my notes again, paste it, hit enter, voila. If you see this, it is successful. If I go here to my remote machine, do ls, there you go. There's my script. I can quickly open it to see, check db hack. That is my script. I just opened it with Vim. All right, so let's try to run it. I'm going to do Python 3, check db hack, hit enter. Again, I ran into the same issue. Now I need to install PyMySQL. Now in this case, do I need a virtual environment? Not really, right? Because this is a machine that I'm not going to do a lot of projects on it. I don't have any other Python scripts. I'm just going to run this Python script for a day or two, maybe until I get hacked. And who knows how long it's going to take. And then I'm just going to get rid of the server. So I'm not worried about keeping my environment clean. I don't care about that. So all I have to do is just install PyMySQL directly on the machine. So let's see if we have pip. I don't think we do. If I do pip install PyMySQL, it's saying pip is not available. Let me try pip3. Pip3 install PyMySQL. It's not there at all. I can do Python 3-m pip, hit enter. It's not there. Okay, so it's telling me I can install it this way. Apt install Python 3 pip. So let me just copy paste that. That will install it. It's going to ask me yes or no. I'm going to put yes. So this is going to install pip. It might take a little bit. I might just fast forward the video, but it looks like it's moving quite fast. Well, it's at 0%. So let me hold on and I'll come back once this is done. All right, I got this screen in the middle of the process. I will just hit enter and it will just continue. And it is almost done, I believe. It is done. So let me clear my screen, and if I do pip -- version, there you go, it is available. So I can do pip install PyMySQL. That's going to install PyMySQL. Environment extremely damaged. There's a lot of warnings, but I don't know if it actually installed it. I don't think it installed it. Let's just run it. Python 3, check db hack. Yeah, I did not install it. So let's see, Python 3-m pip install PyMySQL. This is the thing about Linux. So apt install, it's asking me to install something else. The environment extremely damaged. To install Python package system wide, try apt install Let me pause this and come back to you. It looks like it's suggesting I actually use a virtual environment. So let's see what happens if we use a virtual environment. So I'm going to clear. I'm going to do Python 3-n VNV. I'm going to call it my VNV. Okay, it's not available, so it's asking me to install the VNV itself. I'm going to install that, and I'll come back once this is done. Again, I got this pink screen. All I do is hit enter and it will continue. By the way, I'm doing this, I didn't prepare for this because I already have the server with the MySQL running on it. So I didn't want to mess around. I just wanted to do it on the video because I want to show you all the issues I would run into. So let's see. I'm going to clear. Let's see if we can create a virtual environment. I'm going to hit the up arrow to create the virtual environment. Okay. So it looks like the package is available. Now let's activate it. The virtual environment is created. Bin activate. Let's see if we can install py-mysql in here. Pip install py-mysql. All right. So it didn't like it when we tried to install directly on the machine, which is an Ubuntu machine. It wanted us to create a virtual environment, which is most of the time the right way of doing it. But I explained earlier, I didn't care about it because I'm just going to get rid of this environment. All right. So now let's run the script. Python 3 check db hack. There you go. It is working. Okay. So now all we got to do is set up our cron tab and we are good to go. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I need to know the paths of the Python, because even when I run in cron tab, I need to use this virtual environment. So I'm going to say which Python 3. All right. This is the one. This is the root. So I'm going to save this into my notes. I'll just put it here just for now and comment it out. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing, I want to create a file for my output. So if I do ls, there's no file here. I'm going to create a text file. I'm going to do touch hack status.txt. Okay, then I'm going to get this. I'm also going to put that in my notes. This is going to be /root, and that's going to be the name of the file. So what I want to do is when I'm in the cron tab, when I'm executing it, I want the output to go into this file I just created. So I'm going to do, let me make this a little bigger. I don't know. Okay, let me do cron tab -e. Let's see if it opens it. It opens it in nano. I don't like using nano. I'm going to export. Let me see. I have it in my notes. I like to use Vim because I'm comfortable with Vim, not as comfortable with nano. So I'm going to export this variable. If I export visual Vim, now when I open cron tab, it opens it in Vim. Okay, now I can go to the bottom and now I can put in my actual command. So I have the schedule here. I want to run it every minute. So this is the schedule to run it every minute, every hour, every day. Then what is the code I want to run? Well, the command I want to run. I want to run Python 3. Okay. Then I need my script. I forgot to get my script. Let's get my script. If I do a list, this is the name of my script, right? So I'm going to go back to cron tab, go to the last line. Oops. I'm going to do root /that. That is the script. And I want to take the output and put it where? I'm going to put the output here. That's it. So this is saying run every minute, every day, every hour, not every minute. Yeah, every minute. That's probably too much, but for testing purposes, let's run every minute, but later on I'm going to change it so it would run every hour instead. So basically saying execute this command and direct the output into this file. That's all it's doing. Let's save this, wait a few minutes, and we can see it. So I'm going to do tail-f hack status. I'm just going to tail that file. If there's anything new written to that file, it will show up here. And it's going to take at least a minute to do so. So I'm going to wait and I'll come back to you. Hopefully the cron tab works because I have not even tested it yet. So let's see what happens. Oh, there you go. Within the hour, I actually got a false. Let's see the script. Did we not fix the script? Do we have the script so it would fail? Yeah, remember the script here, it is going to fail. So we're going to modify the script so it won't fail. But the cron tab is working. We see that we got the message here. I'm going to do Control C. okay, and I'm going to edit the script itself. Then check that, and we have a typo on purpose trying to make it fail, right? All right, save that, save it. Now if I just cut out the hack status, now it's printing true. Okay, so I'm just going to get into that file real quick and delete all the content, so everything that's get written from into it is going to be new. And if you want to see the result when this actually fails, then check out the other video about the actual video about hacking if it gets hacked. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this file and I'll report back on when it actually gets hacked. Okay, let me know what you think about this in the comments to see if this is a fun experiment. And the Python part, did you find that to be more a good practice exercise? Do you want me to make more things like that? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. But for me, this was a lot of fun.